Hi, everybody. It's Mike from Here, the Watchman. And today on the show, we're taking a little turn. We're not going to be talking about prophecy. We're not going to be talking about current events. We're going to talk about something much more important. And that's making a lifestyle change so that you can get healthy to be better able to serve Christ in these horrifically changing times. Now, about a month ago, I was very depressed. I had no energy. I couldn't walk to the front. Well, I'll give you this. Our front gate is about 150 yards from our house, but I couldn't walk there and walk back without having chest pains, without having to stop. And, I just was getting further and further depressed. I was overweight, and I prayed. And I prayed the same prayer that I had prayed before, even when I was homeless on the street, was that, God, will you please just save me? And I asked him to put his arms around me like he did to Mary in the Bible and rid me of the things that were afflicting me and holding me back from serving him. So it's been a month now, and I'm just here to tell you that I can walk 4 miles a day, every day, 7 days a week, without being out of breath. It's an enjoyable walk early in the morning. I eat kind of like one of our guests does that we're going to talk to here in a minute, a very balanced diet. I don't do any white flour and I don't do any sugar, absolutely no alcohol, no soft drinks, anything like that. And you know what? It's not that hard once you just show up and do it. And I feel so much better. I have energy like I haven't had in maybe 15 years. Now, I did quit smoking. That helped, but it's just, I believe as Christians, it's a time that we need to rid ourselves of the things that are holding us back, break free of the chains that are binding us. So on today's show, I've asked two of my absolute favorite people in the Christian community, Derek and Sharon Gilbert, to join me to talk about this. Guys, thanks for coming on.
Oh, we're so happy. Thank you for asking us.
Well,
congratulations on your weight loss, by the way.
Thank you. It's, yeah, guys, I'll tell you what, in a month, I've lost, I only weigh once a week. I had lost 8 pounds as of last week, and again, it's not like a starvation diet. I mean, I'm eating all the time. But you guys, between the two of you, now I saw a picture that you had posted on your Facebook page. I think it was 5 years ago or something like that. And Sharon, I knew that you had dropped weight. And folks, if you haven't seen that picture of Sharon 5 years ago compared to what she is today, staggering. But I think the two of you have lost almost 150 pounds combined. Derek, you're down 40, and what, you're down like 107, Sharon?
117.
117?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, 117. So together we've lost over 150 pounds. And we just did it by eating real food. We hardly ever eat out. And when we eat at home, we try to avoid the white sugar, the white flour, white potatoes, even though we occasionally will have those things. I bake my own bread, you know that. I make my own yogurt. We eat healthy foods and only eat when we're hungry. Drink a lot of water.
Yeah,
and
right.
The big thing I think that has made a difference for me is that there's a long fasting period between my last bite and the first bite of the day, probably 12 to 14 hours.
Yeah, I do. I actually do the same thing. I try to stop eating by 6 o'clock at the latest. I really do. And water, I drink 10, 16-ounce bottles of water per day right now. At first, I felt like I was drowning. I mean, I was just horrific. And then I made the mistake of getting on the scale every day. And I'm like, I'm not losing any weight. Nothing's happening here. And I realized, well, I'm drinking, 160 ounces of water, so
yeah.
It takes a while for your body to adjust. But again, folks, the mission is not to dump a bunch of weight in a month. It's to change your lifestyle. It's a lifetime achievement. And Sharon and Derek, I'm amazed that when you eat the cleaner foods and when you when you don't load yourself down with Haagen-Dazs and donuts and, you know, flour tortillas, and which were my favorite, if you don't do that, all of a sudden your body starts to say, hey, this is kind of good, you know, and you get up and you move around a little bit and you get some exercise, and all that stuff that used to work for you when you were younger starts to come back to life. Now, what was it 5 years ago that made you guys make the decision to make a lifestyle change?
Well, you know, when you're on television every week, you start to really take a hard look at yourself. But the biggest thing for me was that suddenly we were being asked to go to a lot of conferences. We've been doing it already, but they were really adding up. And a conference at that time, for every day that I was at a conference, it took me 3 or 4 days to recover because it just was so draining, dragging my big old body around that which just, the cells were not getting the proper nutrition, so they couldn't function correctly. So I decided I'm going to drink more water because we've got great water here. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to drink more water. I'm doing that. So I'm going to try to cut out sugar. And suddenly the weight started falling off and I started feeling better. And so I made more changes and added really good vegetables, making sure I got really good high quality fats every day. I started reading up on the things that our cells require in order to function. As a biologist, I had an idea, but you know, there are a lot of micronutrients that are in vegetables, those really bright colored vegetables, and adding more of those to my plate. And I found that when I spent, after about, I'd say 3 weeks, 4 weeks, my cravings had changed. I no longer wanted the ice cream. I no longer wanted those potato chips. I no longer, you know, wanted to sit down and just eat a whole bunch of really bad junk food because I didn't feel well. Instead, I went for the nice red bell peppers, and I'd have some cucumbers and maybe some sliced up chicken that I had roasted or sauteed. And those choices added up to feeding my nutrition, feeding my cells what they've been craving my whole life. And suddenly my body started functioning correctly. And because I was eating that way, he started eating that way.
Yeah, I could not rationalize to myself continuing to eat the way I'd been eating before, you know, salty snacks. Yeah, it's funny how we can rationalize, and it's partly because we've been indoctrinated this way by the media that fat is bad. And so if you eat low fat, that's okay. So pretzels and tortilla chips are fine, you think. But it's the white flour in those that
and the extra sugar. Anytime it's low fat, they're loading it up with sugar to give it taste.
Right, and you know, so you're doing that, and you're actually sending stuff into your body that your body then converts to sugar right away because it's simple carbs, and then because you've got all of this sugar in there that's loaded in, your glycemic response is out of whack, and your body is just converting it over to fat and just storing it because it doesn't know what else to do with it.
It's terrible. Your metabolism doesn't work correctly anymore. Your thyroid can be affected. He and I both have slow thyroids, but our medication has been adjusted quite a bit since we've gone on this way of life because it's a lifetime choice.
Yeah.
This is not a diet. This is simply the way we've chosen to eat from now on.
Yeah, and it's important that you say that, Sharon, because it isn't a diet. It's choosing to live a life that so that you can function and serve the Lord better, you know, so you have more energy. And Derek, you know, it's so true. I mean, we drink the Kool-Aid, man. We
Literally.
Yeah, literally. We see all this stuff on TV and all that, and then, you know, with what we do, my downfall was I'd be sitting here working, and then I'd start to get hungry, and I'd say, well, I'll just go down to Burger King and get a double cheeseburger, you know, quick, easy, you know, but I won't get any Cokes. I won't have a Diet Coke. I won't do any of that because that's bad for me. I'll just have water, you know, and then, you know, a half hour later, I'm exhausted and I have no energy. And then you know, you go home and you don't want to cook, so you call. For me, I called Jeannie up and I said, you want me to stop at such and such and pick something up, grab a pizza or something like that, and then you eat that, and then you feel like just, or
Hmm.
you get up in the morning and you're groggy and slow. And it's funny that when you start to put this clean food in yourselves, folks, and you monitor the way you eat, the first couple of weeks it's rough. I will say that. But after that, you build a habit. And it's funny because I'm like you, Sharon. I'll be out somewhere. It's our anniversary today, and we're going to go out to dinner tonight. But I've already picked. I mean, I'm having the grilled shrimp and the veggies and the salad with the balsamic vinegar on the side. I mean, and it's not like it's not like, I mean, like I'm looking forward to eating that because I know when I'm done
Yeah,
eating that, I'll feel good, you know.
yeah.
So did you both find that you had more energy and were able to do more and function better?
Absolutely. I can go to a conference now and I can really enjoy myself. I would never have been able to go over to Israel. I couldn't have made the flight, much less walked around and ridden in buses all day long and walked to this archaeological site and that one, up hills, down hills. I never could have done it, but we've done it for 2 years now. We're going back a third.
And she actually handled Israel and the heat last year better than I did. But you know, I was the same way with the additional 40 pounds. In fact, I was talking about that this morning, remembering back in 2006 and 7 when we were in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
And I was working as a talk radio host at the time and limping, in fact, to the point where my feet hurt so badly that I went to
As a podiatrist.
a podiatrist who x-rayed my feet and said, well, you're a candidate for surgery to fuse these joints here, but that would, you know, so, or you can just deal with it until you get to a point where it's just intolerable. So, all right, well, I guess I'll deal with it. But you know, I don't have that pain in my feet anymore. Taking that 40 pounds off, even though I still got the calcification, the bone spurs in those joints, they don't bother me as much anymore because there's not as much stress on them. So 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I was walking and limping all the time, and that has gone away.
Yeah, yeah. He and I, none of us is getting any younger. But you can still do this. I get asked all the time, well, I'm postmenopausal, or I've got thyroid issues, I've got fibromyalgia, there's so many things. Well, I'm postmenopausal, have been for a long time. I have thyroid issues. I also was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I still lost the weight. And I did not, now you're exercising, but I don't. I never have. And yet I lost the weight. So for those of you out there who cannot exercise, you can still get healthy by eating well,
Yeah.
choosing clean foods.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, folks. What I'm doing isn't for everybody. I have a goal that happens to be I want to backpack along the Pacific Coast Trail from here in Idaho to the Canadian border and back next year. So I have to be in shape to do that. But you don't have to exercise. Jeannie, my wife, is basically doing the same thing I do. And other than going for a walk in the morning, she's not exercising. I mean, she doesn't go to the gym. I mean, I assume she will in a couple of months here when it's like 6 degrees outside in the morning. But, it's all about making that change and that lifestyle change and doing the research and being patient.
Yes, and I would also add that it's really important to do what we discussed earlier, and that is to have that long fasting period.
Yeah.
Don't eat until you go to bed. You have to stop early in the evening, even in the afternoon. I stop eating at 3 o'clock because I get up very early.
You're in bed at 5.
Yeah, I go to bed really early, but I also get up very early. But I don't have a whole lot of extra, skin and things like that. In a few places, let's face it, everybody's going to have some, but you lose a lot of belly fat when you fast. It also revs up your metabolism in a way that will not happen if you don't fast. So I highly recommend stopping, just have, okay, at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever it is, I am not eating after that, to give yourself at least a 12-hour window without eating.
Yeah. And it's, and Sharon's so accurate. It's about choices. I mean, zucchini, cucumbers, celery have become my friend,
Mm-hmm.
and Walden's dressing, folks. Hot tip there. Walden's dressing makes a great
Mm-hmm.
vinegar with no calories, no sugar, nothing ugly in it at all. But it's following.
Make sure it doesn't have any artificial sweeteners in it, though.
Yeah, you got to make sure of that. That's another thing. You make sure
Those things are bad.
yeah, there's no artificial sweeteners in this one, but you got to make sure about that. And it's just you make a decision, and you just show up. I mean, for me, showing up is like 95% of success. When I wake up in the morning and I say, for me, I don't want to go for a walk, I just get up and do it. When I say I really want to go get, a double bacon cheeseburger and some fries, I just don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I find things that are a solution that I can eat and do. And now it just becomes a habit. But the mission
But
here,
oh, I was going to say, go ahead.
the mission here is to try and gather so that we can serve Jesus better. And
Yeah.
look at Derek and Sharon. I mean, Sharon's writing like 50,000 words a day. Derek's doing like 10 shows a day. And look at
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to clap so loud. Well, Derek and I, one of our biggest daily treats, and we do this almost every day, is we have what we call the nut bowl. It's got all sorts of, it's got sea salt covered mixed nuts, which are really good. It's got, like cashews and pecans and things like that in it. But we also have raw cashews, raw pecans, and raw Brazil nuts that we all put together with dried cranberries. And that is our big treat mix. And it's filled with lots of good protein, good fats, good micronutrients, and it tastes good too. And along with that, my big treat is iced tea. No sweetener. It's just plain old unsweetened iced tea that has a little bit of, it's a tea that I love called,
Bigelow's.
well, it's Earl Grey. And I add a little bit of another tea bag that's called Constant Comment. And it's got bergamot oranges in it and spices. It's the kind of tea I write about in the Red Wing Saga all the time. So we make that, we'll have it hot sometimes, but other times we'll just have it cold with lemon. And it's a big treat.
Yeah. And it's just, once you get into this habit and you get the lifestyle going, it's not work. I mean, it's just
Not.
Just is what it's exactly like you used to be, where it'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go get a double cheeseburger. It's exactly like that, only you don't do that. You feel
No.
you want to make a decent choice. You want to make a good choice. And that's not saying my mission isn't to deny myself good stuff for the rest of my life. It's not. But I will deny myself the bad stuff. It makes me feel like crap, sorry to say, but that's basically it. And and Sharon's right. I'm 61 years old, and here I am walking 4 miles, going to the gym, feeling great. I'm literally, folks, I feel better than I did like when I was 45 right now. And it's nice. We're going to a camp, Jamie Walden's Warrior Summit. Derek and Sharon will be there. And Jeannie and I, 2 or 3 months ago, were worried about, gosh, what are we going to be able to do there? I mean, and I was thinking to myself, I'll be able to sit around, but now I'm like ready to go out there and hike and do the fun.
Exactly. Walk the trails. That sounds like a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. And you don't, I mean, I'm lucky, like you guys are. I live in the country. So my walks in the morning are beautiful. I mean, I'm like with God. There's no other people around. I mean, I just see the deer and the elk and occasionally a rattlesnake nowadays. But, I mean, it's go out wherever you are, find a park and just, enjoy yourself.
We're really blessed too that we've got a neighbor who raises cattle. A lot of people around here raise cattle because that's about all you can do on this land. It's essentially grass growing on rocks. But we buy twice a year from him, we buy a steer, and well, half a steer. And that's plenty for us, plenty of really good, clean meat because there are no hormones, nothing in this beef that is not just as God intended beef to be. In fact, some of the hay that's fed to this beef comes from our land. So we know we don't spray it, we don't do anything other than just let the grass grow.
Yeah, it's it's great. We raise chickens and they're about ready to start laying eggs. And I might divulge top secret Sharon Gilbert scrambled eggs in the morning recipe that it's off the hook, crazy good.
I have figured out how to make, by the way, you've not had this. I now make omelets all the time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh yeah, with fresh jalapeno cut up into the omelets.
Jalapenos and onions cut up into it, and salsa put on the top.
Yeah, and
Cheese.
and then fried in the bacon grease. And that's something that we should point out. Again, we've been conditioned over the years to believe that fat is bad and there are certain kinds of things you just can't eat. Bacon is bad. Beef is bad.
No, it's good for you. We eat it all the time.
Right.
Now, if you can't eat bacon, we get that.
Right.
But there's no reason why you cannot do healthy fats. I use butter every morning.
Right. And guys, as we get older and we start developing the low T, the Brazil nuts that Sharon mentioned earlier.
I got some tea right here.
And there we go. But beef also is something that will help the body's natural production of testosterone, which is kind of important because there are other issues that accompany then with low testosterone levels.
But make sure it's really good clean beef because the beef that has hormones in it isn't good for you either. Right.
So if you can find a butcher that does organic beef, or if you know somebody, if you're blessed enough to live in the country and you've got neighbors like ours who raise their own, and it's like, hey Chris, how you doing? When they're okay, October, all right, put us down for half a steer. That really is a blessing because again, as Sharon said, no hormones, nothing in there that we don't know what it is. It's basically grass and water went into that beef, and so yeah. It really is good for you. So contrary to what we've been told all these years, like, no, we have to lower your fat content, which means eating lots and lots of cornflakes. Turns out that the cornflakes, even if you don't put the sugar on top, is like having a candy bar for breakfast because your body turns it into sugar once you get it. So the same with bread. Oh, it's bread, it's low fat, that's great. Not necessarily, depends on how it's made. If it's made with white flour, really not good. We've become kind of famous when we go to the local cafe in the small town where we work. A group of us are going from work and they know when we come in, okay, none of you are having buns with your sandwiches, right? It's just the beef patty.
But extra jalapenos, right? Oh yeah.
Yeah, we grow jalapenos, we grow some other peppers, and we grow onions, and we grow our own lettuce right now. And we too, we go in with another couple and get a cow. We split a cow each year. And it's amazing when you eat that beef that's 100% pure like that. It's Jeannie and I were like, whoa, this is what beef tastes like? It's totally,
so good.
And again, what made sense to me, because I'm a guy and I can be kind of a gearhead at times, is when someone explained to me that, look at the fat and what you put in your body, it's like your body's like the carburetor. If you don't put the right fuel mixture in the carburetor, you're just not going to run right. And so the balance of the fat and the carbs and getting good clean fuel in your body will make all the difference in the world. So we're going to be at the conference, and I'm sure Jeannie and Sharon and I will be going over there. Oh, look, I can have a couple of those eggs, and oh, there's some fruit over there, and oh, look at that, we can do that, we can do that, but it'll be fun. It's not a task. It's fun, and
no, it will be a whole lot of fun. So if you're one of the people who signed up, can't wait to see.
Yeah, and a matter of fact, Sharon, there is a lady that responded to the first show I did on health who has contacted me, who is coming to the camp, who wants to meet us, and I told her she really wants to meet you because I might be better for the guys because I'm like a little bit more in tune with the guy's body, And then, but it's neat. It's sharing it, it's passing it on, and again, to better serve the body of Christ. And, you can't serve the body of Christ and you can't survive what's coming down the pipeline here in these last days. And none of us on this show right now are date setters. I mean, but we know the signs are there. You can't survive that and function if you're carrying around, 50, 100 extra pounds. I mean,
it's very, very difficult. And I know that many of you are dealing with health issues that may be related to that extra weight. Not every health issue is, but I just want to tell you from someone who had a lot of health issues, had no opportunity or energy to go out and walk or do any sort of exercise, that you can make those changes. You can retrain your cravings, and you can alter your body radically. I went from a size 3X to a size 2.
Whoa, that's insane. That is insane. I mean, and like you said, you don't exercise.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. But when I'm called upon to do things, my muscles respond.
Right.
So when we go to Israel, I'm able to do those things. And I actually do gain some muscle when we're in Israel. So I always come home same size, 10 pounds heavier, because I put on muscle.
Muscle, right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys for joining us. And folks, listen, if you want to hear more from us, if you want to be a part of this, you can get a hold of Darren and Sharon, Darren and Sharon.
Darren and Sharon, yeah, that's good.
We'll change.
Google them, Skywatch TV. For me, you can just email me at Mike Kerr, KERR777 @gmail.com, or just go to hearthewatchmen.com. Click the contact button and that'll come directly to me. We're here to support you. We're here to pray with you. We want to see you make that lifestyle change that will really get you in tune with what you can do for Christ. And all I can say is, before you start, ask for him to help you to get through this journey, because he's there waiting when you're ready. Guys, thank you again.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Mike. We enjoyed it.
Well, we'll see you next time, folks, on the next edition of the Watchman's Report. As always, remember, there's absolutely nothing you can't do with Jesus in your heart, except nothing at all. We'll see you next time.